My name is Claire Mitchell, and I'm 29 years old. 3 days ago, I thought I was in a serious, grown-up relationship with a man I'd probably marry. Today, I'm realizing I was just a prop in his performance. Last Thursday, I was at my boyfriend's apartment, doing something ridiculously ordinary, waiting for him to get ready for dinner. The TV was murmuring in the background, some cooking show I wasn't really watching. His tiny living room smelled like his usual cologne and the cheap vanilla candle I always made fun of him for buying. Liam was in the shower. He always takes forever in there, like the water is auditioning to fix his entire personality. His phone was on the coffee table, screen down. I wasn't looking for anything. I really wasn't. I'd never gone through his phone, never felt like I had to. Then it buzzed. The screen lit up, and the notification preview flashed before I could look away. At Single and Thriving just posted a new photo. I frowned. That wasn't his username. I knew his normal Instagram. We followed each other, commented on each other's posts, did the cute couple story thing. But this was different. A completely different handle, like something a motivational influencer would pick to talk about their healing journey. Except Liam had never mentioned a second account. At first I told myself it was nothing. Maybe it was a meme page. Maybe he just followed it. But the notification looked like a creator notification, like it was his account. My stomach did a slow little roll. He was still in the shower. Steam was billowing out down the hallway. I could hear him singing off key to whatever playlist he had going. He wasn't coming out anytime soon. I picked up my own phone instead of his, some small, stubborn part of me, still needing to keep a line I hadn't crossed before. I opened Instagram, went to search, and typed in the handle. Single and Thriving, public account, 3,800 followers. And right there, in the tiny circle of the profile photo, was the back of a man in a gray t-shirt and ball cap, standing on a bluff overlooking the ocean. I couldn't see his face, but I could see the distinctive tattoo on his forearm. The same tattoo I'd traced with my finger 100 times. My lungs forgot how to work for a second. I clicked on the profile. Bio. Single and ready to mingle. Living my best life. DMs open. Single. Single. My thumb hovered above the screen. I started scrolling. 8 months. 8 months of posts. 8 months of captions about being single. 8 months of thirst trap photos I had never seen. Liam in tight shirts and tailored pants on nights he told me he was too tired to go out. Liam at bars, at the beach, at the gym. Liam on trips I never knew he took. Comments from women. When can I take you out? Single? Their loss. Looking good. Maybe we should hang out sometime. And his responses. Flirty emojis. Haha, maybe. DM me. Or, we'll see. Post after post after post. My thumb kept moving, like my hand belonged to someone else. There was a mirror selfie from 2 weeks ago. Him in a black button-up, hair styled, jawline sharp, captioned, "Date night ready. Too bad I'm going solo." 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, he and I had dinner at a little Italian place across town. He showed up in jeans and a hoodie, telling me he didn't feel like dressing up. I stared at the black shirt in the photo, the one I'd never seen in person. There were beach photos, too. Sunsets, waves, his bare chest. He told me he was visiting his old college roommate that weekend. The captions here said things like, "Solo adventures hit different when you're free. Hash our single life. Free. Single." My vision tunneled around the phone. The cooking show on the TV turned into meaningless noise. Every little 632 likes under his photos was another tiny punch to the chest. I scrolled through his highlights. Solo trips, new beginnings, single era. Clips, stories, live replays, where he flirted with strangers in the comments while I was at home, thinking he was playing video games or working late. For 8 months, I'd been telling people I was in a committed relationship. For 8 months, this account had been telling the world he wasn't. The shower shut off. Panic snapped me back into my body. I quickly tapped the save icon on a few of the posts so I could find them later from my own account, then hit the back button, closed Instagram, and locked my phone. I put it face down on the couch like it might burn me. A moment later, Liam padded out of the bathroom, towel around his waist, hair wet, humming like nothing in the universe was wrong. "Hey," he said, grinning at me. "Sorry, I lost track of time. You ready to go?" I looked at him, really looked at him, and something inside me went very, very quiet. I smiled anyway. "Yeah, I'm ready." We went to dinner. I didn't say a word about what I'd seen. I watched him talk about his day, complain about his boss, joke with the waiter. I watched him use the same smile he used on that account. that easy, charming, slightly cocky grin. I felt like I was on a date with an actor playing my boyfriend. That night, in my own bed, I didn't sleep. Instead, I stared at the ceiling and replayed every moment of the last 8 months. Every time he canceled plans last minute, every guy's night I wasn't invited to, every vague, "I'll text you later, my phone's dying," when clearly it hadn't been. The hurt sat in my chest like a stone. Confronting him flashed through my mind over and over, imagining his face when I told him I knew, his excuses, his gaslighting, the part where he'd try to make this my fault. And then, very slowly, another thought slipped in. If he wanted to live online as a single man, what would happen if I did the same? Not lie, not pretend, just tell the truth. I was single now, whether he admitted it or not. By morning, the numbness had hardened into something sharp and focused. Friday, I made coffee, sat at my kitchen table, opened Instagram, and created a new account. Random username. No mention of my old profile. No obvious link to my main life, except my face. I spent an hour scrolling through my camera roll, found photos where I actually liked myself, one at a concert with my hair loose and a genuine smile, one from a work trip where I was dressed in a fitted blazer, laughing at something off camera, one at a rooftop bar in a simple dress, city lights behind me. I posted the first picture, me at the concert, head thrown back mid-laugh. Caption, newly single and loving it. Fresh start, new chapter. Second post, the work trip photo in the blazer. Caption, single life treating me right. Third, a cropped photo with friends at a bar. Only my side of the frame visible, glass in hand, eyes bright. Caption, good friends, good times, no drama. I made the account public. I left my face clearly visible. I didn't follow anyone yet. I just let it exist. For the first time since finding his account, I felt the tiniest sliver of control. Saturday afternoon, Liam texted me. Still on for tonight? My thumbs hovered over the keyboard. Yeah, I typed. What time? 7, we could try that new place on 5th. Sounds good, Anne. We met up like nothing was wrong. He was on his phone more than usual. His knee bounced under the table. His eyes kept darting down between bites of food, checking notifications he pretended didn't exist. You okay? I asked, keeping my voice casual. Yeah, just work stuff, he said too quickly, locking his phone and flipping it face down. Work. Right. I twirled my fork in my pasta and nodded. Must be stressful. He launched into a story about some idiot coworker. I pretended to listen. My mind was elsewhere, back on my new account. When I got home that night, I opened it. 86 followers. A handful were randoms who'd found me through the Explore page, but 3 usernames caught my eye. 3 of Liam's friends had viewed my story. One of them had followed the account. A slow, bitter smile spread across my face. Sunday morning, my phone went off like an alarm. Text after text from Liam, stacked on my lock screen. We need to talk now. Are you seriously doing this? Who told you? I let them sit there for 2 full hours while I made breakfast and took a long shower. Finally, I opened our thread. Doing what? I typed. I'm confused. 3 dots appeared immediately. Don't play dumb. The Instagram account, I know it's you. What Instagram account? I sent. Claire, seriously, the one where you're posting about being single. I stared at his words, at the sudden panic bleeding through them, and felt something in me click into place. So he knew exactly what he'd been doing this whole time. I exhaled slowly and typed my reply. Oh, that. Just thought I'd be honest about my relationship status, I wrote. You know, like you've been doing for the past 8 months on @single-and-thriving. I watched the seen indicator pop up under my message. Then nothing. No immediate reply. No rapid-fire justification. Just a blank silence that felt louder than any fight. I set my phone down on the table. For the first time since I'd opened that account, the weight in my chest felt lighter. This was just the beginning. When I picked my phone back up an hour later, there were 7 new messages from him. Claire, seriously? What is this? You're being dramatic. Can you please come over so we can talk? We shouldn't do this over text. Where did you even hear about that account? Who's been snooping for you? Call me. Every sentence said the same thing. He was scared. I scrolled up to my last message, the one where I'd written his secret handle out in black and white. For 8 months, it had been this shadow thing he controlled, something he could always pretend didn't exist if I ever got too close. Now it was out in the open, named, real. I typed slowly. I don't need to come over. I already know what I need to know. It didn't take long. Wow, so you're just going to assume the worst without even talking to me? He snapped back. My jaw clenched. I could almost hear his voice in the text. That familiar edge he got whenever I was upset about something that was, in his mind, no big deal. You've been calling yourself single online for 8 months, I wrote. I don't think I have to assume anything. 3 dots, stop, 3 dots again. That account is just for fun, he replied finally. It's not real. It doesn't mean anything. I don't actually date anyone from it. You know how social media is. There it was. The script I'd already written in my head the night before. It's just social media. It's not real. You're overreacting. I stared at his message, my pulse thudding in my ears. I typed, "We both know that's not true." Then I locked my phone before he could respond and tossed it onto the couch. For the next few hours, I let myself exist in small, manageable tasks. Laundry, dishes, sorting the stack of mail on my counter. Anything to keep my hands busy while my brain adapted to the new shape of my life. Every so often I'd hear the phone buzz. I didn't check it. When I finally gave in, there were more texts. Some were angry, some were pleading. The last one read, "Can you at least come over tonight? We'll talk. You'll see it's not as bad as you think." I thought about the photos, the captions about being free, the comments, the trips. 8 months of him very deliberately curating a single persona. Then I thought about how many times I'd driven across town because he missed me, trusting that the man opening the door was exactly who he claimed to be. "No," I typed. "I'm not coming over. I need space." Space. A tiny, simple word that felt like breaking concrete. There was a long pause, then, "You're blowing this way out of proportion. You know I love you." It hit me, suddenly, how small that sentence felt in the shadow of everything else. Like throwing a Band-Aid onto a car crash. I didn't answer. Instead, I opened his secret account again from my main profile. The bio had changed. No more single and ready to mingle. Now it just said, "Living my life." The account, previously public, was now private. Of course, I let out a humorless laugh. The second there were consequences, the for fun game suddenly needed to be contained. A new notification popped up at the top of my screen. "Jenna B. viewed your story. At Maddie Rose followed you." 2 more of his friends. I clicked on Jenna's profile, the one who always clung to Liam's arm at parties a little too long and called me baby girl in a way that felt more like a warning than affection. She was watching my new posts with, what, curiosity? Panic? Another DM slid in, from a username I didn't recognize right away, at Brooklyn Kroom. "Hey, Claire, I hope you don't mind me messaging. We met once at Liam's place. I'm his old college roommate from the city." I squinted at the profile picture, then remembered. The tall woman with the curly hair and nervous laugh who'd come to town last summer. The one he'd gone to visit months later. "Yeah, I remember you," I wrote back. "What's up?" Her reply came quickly. "I saw your new account. I'm really sorry if this is overstepping, but I think I owe you an apology." My heart dropped into my stomach. "For what?" I typed. "When Liam told you he was staying with me in June," she wrote, "he did stay at my place, but he wasn't in town to see me. He was there to meet a girl he'd been talking to online. He asked me to cover for him. He said you knew, that you guys were kind of open and you were cool with it. I believed him at first." My fingers went numb. "He told me he was visiting you," I wrote. "Girls' weekend. That's what he called it." It took her a beat. "Oh my God," she replied. "I am so, so sorry. I found out months later you had no idea I told him to come clean. He swore he would. Then I saw your newly single post and I couldn't not say something." The room seemed to tilt for a second. A lot of things suddenly rearranged themselves in my memory. The way he'd come back from that trip extra affectionate, buying me flowers just because. The way he'd showered me in compliments, almost like he was trying to drown out a noise I couldn't hear yet. I swallowed hard. "Thank you for telling me," I wrote. "You're not the one who should be apologizing." "I feel gross for covering for him," she sent. "If you ever want screenshots or anything, I have them. He used my apartment like a hotel so he could go out with other women. I'm done with that." I stared at her offer. Part of me wanted to say no. More proof meant more pain. But another part, the part that had watched him lie with a straight face over pasta, needed the receipts. Not to wave in his face, just to remind myself later that I wasn't crazy. "Yeah," I typed. "Send them." She did. Screenshots of their messages. Him asking if the girl from the bar was still down to meet. Him asking Brooklyn to post a story of them watching movies so he could show it to me as proof of where he was. Him calling me a little intense, but worth it if I can still have some fun on the side. I saved every image to a locked folder. Then I forwarded one of the screenshots, the one where he joked about me being easy to calm down if I get too suspicious, to my own email with the subject line, "Reminder, believe yourself." My phone buzzed again, a different notification this time. A DM from another mutual, one of his guy friends, Adam, who I'd always thought seemed decent, if oblivious. Hey, he wrote, not trying to get in the middle of anything, but Liam is saying you're posting revenge stuff to ruin him. Just wanted to ask if you're okay. A tiny, sharp laugh escaped me. I posted that I'm single, I replied. Which is true. No names, no call-outs. If that ruins him, that's on him. He didn't respond right away. When he did, it was short. Fair enough. Take care of yourself. Maybe the first neutral sentence I'd gotten all weekend. By Monday, the world had rearranged itself into something that looked almost normal from the outside. I went to work, answered emails, sat through a meeting where my boss used the phrase circle back unironically. But there was still a crackling tension under everything. On my lunch break, I ducked into a little coffee shop near the office, ordered an iced latte, and opened my phone. My single account had almost 200 followers now. More DMs. A handful from people I hadn't spoken to since college. A few strangers hitting on me in ways that made my skin crawl. Some supportive messages from women saying, good for you, or proud of you for walking away from whatever this is I'd seen. I didn't go into detail with any of them. I just liked the messages or replied with a simple thank you. I checked Liam's secret account again. Still private. For a second, curiosity poked at me. Had he deleted any posts? Was he scrubbing his own history? Making a new story where he was the one blindsided? The answer ultimately didn't matter. I had my own story now. On Tuesday afternoon, I stopped into a different coffee shop closer to my apartment, laptop in tow. I'd been restless, unable to focus at home, and thought maybe a change of scenery would help. The place was half full, students hunched over textbooks, a couple arguing quietly in the corner. The hiss of the espresso machine and the low hum of conversation blended into white noise. I sat up in the back corner, my screen facing the wall. I'd barely opened my email when I heard a voice that made my shoulders lock. I'm telling you, she's blowing it way out of proportion, Liam said. I froze. He was at a table near the front, sitting with two of his friends, Jenna and some guy I didn't recognize. They hadn't seen me. I was tucked behind a pillar. I should have left. I know that. But my body rooted itself to the chair. I mean, dude, the guy said, you did kind of run a whole account saying you were single for months. It was a joke, Liam insisted. His voice took on that exasperated edge he used when he thought someone was being unreasonable. It's just Instagram. Everyone knows it's curated. It's not like I married someone else. Jenna stirred her drink. Instagram said they won't take her account down, she said. I tried reporting it like you asked. They said it doesn't violate guidelines because she's not using your name or anything. It doesn't matter, Liam snapped. Everyone knows it's about me. My mom follows her, my cousins, my co-workers. She's making me look like some villain. There was a small beat. The guy cleared his throat. To be fair, you did tell everyone you were single while you were with her. That's different, Liam shot back. I wasn't actually doing anything. It was harmless. She's the one trying to humiliate me. I felt my nails bite into my palms. Were you not meeting up with people from your DMs? Jenna asked softly. Because you definitely told us about that girl in the city. That wasn't a date, he cut in. We just met up, and Brooklyn was fine with it. I saw in my mind the screenshots in my folder. I saw my own dumb smile the night he came back from that girls' weekend, flowers in his hand. The guy sighed. Man, if you didn't want to be in a relationship, you could have just broken up with her. Liam didn't answer right away. When he did, his voice dropped. Yeah, well, she's not exactly innocent either. Look at what she's doing now. I had heard enough. Very calmly, I closed my laptop, slid it into my bag, and walked toward the door. As I passed their table, I felt 3 pairs of eyes snap toward me. Claire, Liam blurted, color draining from his face. Jenna's mouth fell open. The guy looked like he wanted to slide under the table. I stopped, looked at all of them, and smiled. A small, cold thing that didn't reach my eyes. Afternoon, I said. Enjoying your harmless fun? Liam's jaw worked, but no sound came out. I didn't wait for a response. I walked out into the daylight, the bell over the door jingling behind me like punctuation. On the sidewalk, my hands shook so hard I almost dropped my keys. But under the adrenaline, there was something else. Relief. I wasn't crazy. I hadn't imagined or exaggerated this. He was exactly who he had shown me on that account. And now I was finally starting to believe myself more than I believed him. My phone buzzed nonstop that afternoon. First from Liam, then from his friends, then from a number I didn't recognize that turned out to be his cousin. All of them variations of the same theme. Can we just talk? This is getting blown out of proportion. You're making him look bad. This is between you two. Stop making it public. It was almost funny. I hadn't said a single word about him, hadn't posted his name, hadn't even hinted at who he was. I'd just told the truth about myself. I was newly single and loving it. Apparently, that alone was enough to unravel the exact double life he had been constructing for almost a year. Around 5 p.m., I finally opened his texts. Claire, please answer me. We need to talk in person. You don't understand the full context. That account was stupid, yes, but it wasn't cheating. Can we please be adults about this? Just come over. I typed one reply. No, I'm not coming over. Say whatever you need to say here. 3 dots appeared immediately, then disappeared. Appeared again, then disappeared. Finally, fine. If you want to do this over text, the account was a joke, an outlet. I wasn't actually meeting anyone. I was just posting like that for attention. Guys do that all the time. I stared at the screen. There was something almost childish about the way he wrote it, like he genuinely believed if he said it was just for attention, the severity of everything else would evaporate. I typed, you met up with people from your DMs. His reply was instant. Who told you that? My jaw tightened. That's not the important part, I wrote. What matters is that it's true. No, it's not. That wasn't a date. We were just talking. It wasn't romantic. Nothing physical happened. I swear. I didn't bother arguing the semantics of talking with someone you lied to your girlfriend about. Instead, I sent, you stayed at Brooklyn's place so you could meet a girl in her city. His response came in a frantic flood. What did she say? She misunderstood. It wasn't what she thinks. She's always been dramatic. I never cheated on you. Can we please talk like adults? I stared at the stream of messages until they started to blur. Then I typed the quiet truth. I don't trust you. It took him 4 full minutes to answer. That hurts, Claire. Good, I wrote. It's supposed to. Because I had been hurting for 2 days straight, and he had been hurting me for 8 months without hesitation. A new notification slid in. Instagram DM at Amberlynn B, one of his closest female friends. Pretty, always perfectly put together, the type who called him Lee and me, sweetie, even though she'd known him 10 years longer than she'd known me. Her message was blunt. Hey, can we talk? I stared at it for a second before opening. I just want to make sure you're okay. Liam's really upset, and this whole IG thing is making things messy. I know you're hurting, but maybe take the post down? People are getting the wrong idea. The wrong idea. My blood pressure spiked. Amber, I typed. All I posted was that I'm single. Yeah, sweetie, but you know how it looks. How does it look? A long pause. It looks like you're trying to get back at him. I inhaled slowly through my teeth. Did he tell you about his secret account? Of course, she wrote. He said it was stupid and he regrets it. But that doesn't mean you two need to air drama on social media. He aired plenty of drama for 8 months, I replied. I'm just being honest about my relationship status. She didn't reply after that. Probably off to update the group chat about how dramatic I was being. Fine, let them talk. The truth was doing its job on its own. That night, I forced myself to eat dinner, even though my appetite had evaporated days ago. I picked at microwaved pasta, scrolled through TikTok without registering anything, then gave up and got in the shower. Halfway through rinsing conditioner out of my hair, I heard my phone buzzing from the sink counter, over and over. For a split second, stupidly, I wondered if it was him apologizing, really apologizing, for the first time. But when I got out, dripping and wrapped in a towel, and checked the screen, it was a DM from another person I barely knew. Hannah, his college friend. OMG, are you okay? Liam is freaking out. Of course he was. He was losing control of the narrative. I didn't reply. The next morning, Wednesday, the drama evolved. Because of course it did. Around 10 a.m., I checked my DMs and saw a message from a woman I had never met in my life. Her profile said she lived in Chicago. Pretty, brown hair, stylish, late 20s maybe. Her message, hey, not sure if this is weird, but Liam's old roommate mentioned you might be newly single. I'm going to be in your city next week and she thought you and I might vibe. Want to grab coffee? I blinked at the screen. A stranger, trying to set me up. Because people now believed what had always been true. I was single. He was behaving single. And his entire web of lies was unraveling. I didn't reply immediately. I just screenshot it and saved it. A tiny file labeled Perspective JPG. Within 20 minutes, my phone buzzed again. A message from Maya, Liam's best friend from college, the last person I expected to hear from. Hey, Claire, can we talk? I typed back. About what? You know, everything. No, I replied. I don't think there's anything to talk about. She pushed harder. Claire, he's hurting. He didn't think it would get this bad. I laughed aloud in my empty apartment. He didn't think lying for 8 months would get bad, I wrote. Interesting. You're making things worse by dragging it out. I haven't dragged anything, I replied. I told the truth about my life. That's it. Maya sent one last message. You're being really unfair. He made a mistake. You're blowing up his entire life over nothing. Nothing, I repeated out loud, like the word was foreign. I typed, I'm not blowing up his life. He is. I'm just not hiding the fallout. Then I blocked her. One less voice in the chorus of excuses. Around noon, I stepped out to pick up coffee and clear my head. The air felt cold, sharp, like the universe wanted me awake for this part. I was halfway back to my apartment when my screen lit up again. A new DM. From Brooklyn, the city roommate who had messaged me the day before. Except this time it wasn't private. It was a post. A long public caption on her Instagram. Some people will use you as an alibi for cheating. Some people pretend to be loyal while living a double life. Protect your peace. Fake friends don't deserve access to your real life. My heart stuttered. I clicked the comments. The very first one. From Liam. Wow, can't believe you'd lie like this. Thought we were friends. Brooklyn replied almost instantly. I didn't lie. You did, for months. Don't drag me into your mess. Another comment popped up. Wait, what happened? Then another. Is this about who I think it's about? Screenshots spread like wildfire. People sent them to me within minutes. The truth was no longer mine to carry. Other people now held pieces of it, and Liam couldn't stop the bleeding. That evening, while I was heating up leftover rice in the microwave, my phone rang. Blocked number. I let it go to voicemail. Then another call, and another. After the fourth attempt, I finally listened to the voicemail. His voice, tight, thin, shaking, filled my kitchen. Claire, please, can you just call me? We need to talk about this before it gets worse. I never meant for any of this to happen. Please, I'm losing control of everything. I stood there, hand gripping the counter, listening to him describe losing control. The same man who had controlled the narrative for 8 months. The same man who told strangers on Instagram he was single and thriving, while I built a future in my head. The same man who had insisted he loved me. Now he was drowning. And for the first time, I didn't feel the urge to save him. I didn't feel pity. I didn't feel guilt. I just felt tired. Deeply, bone-level tired. I deleted the voicemail, then blocked his number. Silence filled my apartment. Not heavy. Not suffocating. Just quiet. A quiet that felt like the first breath after surfacing from deep underwater. This wasn't revenge. This wasn't cruelty. This was simply the beginning of a life where I no longer had to doubt myself, where I didn't have to shrink to fit inside someone else's lies. I locked my phone, exhaled, and whispered into the stillness. Finally. I thought blocking his number would buy me at least 24 hours of peace. It bought me 11. Because at 7:14 the next morning, before I'd even had coffee, someone started pounding on my front door. Not knocking. Pounding. I froze, heart thudding, then tiptoed to the peephole. Liam's mother. Of course. She was standing outside my apartment in a fitted blazer and ballet flats, like she'd come straight from lecturing an intern. Her brows were knitted in a tight, purposeful scowl, the kind she probably used before delivering constructive feedback that actually felt like a performance review from God. The pounding resumed. Claire, open the door, please. We need to talk. I blew out a breath and opened it a few inches. Good morning, I said, flat. She swept past me without waiting for an invitation, trailing expensive perfume and self-righteous indignation. Perfect. She planted herself in the middle of my living room, spine stiff, like she was starring in her own courtroom drama. What you're doing to Liam is unacceptable. Ah, there it was, the line rehearsed in the mirror. What I'm doing? I repeated. Yes. Her tone sharpened. He is devastated. He hasn't slept. He hasn't eaten. And meanwhile, you're posting photos online pretending that everything's perfectly fine in your world. My blink was slow. I am fine, I said. I'm single now. You're embarrassing him, she snapped, publicly. A laugh escaped me, quiet, disbelieving. I haven't posted anything about him, not once. I just said I'm single. That account is clearly about Liam. It's about me, I corrected. She crossed her arms, lips pursed tight enough to crack. Claire, I'm trying to be reasonable. Are you? I cut in, keeping my tone eerily calm. She flinched, just slightly. I almost felt bad for her. Almost. Your son, I said slowly, ran a secret Instagram account for 8 months, calling himself single and ready to mingle. That account was silly, she said briskly. Young people do silly things on social media. He met up with women from it. He what? She froze, eyes narrowing sharply, because now the narrative didn't match what she'd been told. I pressed gently. He used his friend Brooklyn as an alibi to meet someone in the city. Her jaw twitched. That doesn't sound like Liam. Does it sound like the truth? I countered. She bristled. It sounds exaggerated. And that, I said softly, is exactly why he gets away with this kind of behavior. Something in her expression flickered. Offense, maybe, or recognition. You need to forgive him, she said quickly, as if it were the only way to steady the ground beneath her. He made one mistake. 8 months is not one mistake, I said. It's a lifestyle. She took a deep breath through her nose. Claire, listen to me. Relationships take work. They require effort. You two have something worth fighting for. Liam is willing to go to therapy. He told us he'd do anything to fix this. My stomach twisted. He didn't tell me that. Well, maybe if you answered his calls. I blocked him. You what? She burst. I held her gaze, unwavering. I blocked him, I repeated. And I'm blocking this conversation too. There is no fixing this. You are being childish. And you, I said, are denying your son's behavior because the alternative is acknowledging he isn't the person you raised him to be. Her eyes sharpened, her voice softened, dangerously. You always were too emotional. There it was, the familiar knife disguised as kindness. The word that always got used on women when men were caught doing something awful. I stepped toward the door and held it open. Please leave. She stared at me like she couldn't believe she'd lost control of this encounter. This isn't over, she said. It is, I replied. You just don't want to accept it. After she stalked out and I closed the door behind her, I leaned my forehead against the wood and breathed until my lungs stopped trembling. Then I texted Liam. Tell your mother not to show up at my apartment again. We're done. The reply came instantly. I didn't send her. She went on her own. Of course he'd hide behind that. Then, but if you didn't block me, she wouldn't feel like she had to defend me. My fingers curled tight around my phone. You lied to me for 8 months, I typed. I owe you nothing. He didn't respond after that. By afternoon, the fallout spread like smoke through the social circles we shared. A DM from his cousin. Hey, Claire, I'm sorry about everything. Honestly, a lot of us knew he liked attention from other women. We didn't know it went this far, though. They knew, or at least suspected, and not one of them thought to warn me. Another message, this time from a girl I'd only met once at a birthday dinner. TBH, he used to brag about the girls in his DMs. I thought it was weird, but figured you were both cool with it? Cool with what? My boyfriend publicly pretending not to have a girlfriend? Amazing. My phone buzzed again. Instagram notification at Liam posted a new photo. I clicked. The caption read, cutting toxicity out of my life. Protect your peace. I stared at the screen in disbelief. He was rewriting the story in real time, painting himself as the victim, painting me as the problem. A few comments rolled in immediately. Good for you. You deserve better, King. People don't appreciate what they have, SMH. But then, a comment that made me inhale sharply. Didn't you have a whole secret single account? Another. Bro, weren't you the toxic one? He deleted those comments within seconds. But screenshots, they never die. Later that day, I went to my apartment leasing office. Not because of him, because I needed, desperately, a fresh start. The property manager walked me through a newly renovated unit 1 floor above mine. Bigger windows, more light, a view of the courtyard instead of the parking lot. It smelled like new paint and possibility. I'll take it, I said before she even finished the tour. Maybe it was impulsive, maybe it was symbolic. But I wanted something in my life that was purely, entirely mine. On my way back downstairs, my phone buzzed again. A DM from a woman with a soft smile and warm eyes, the one I'd met briefly at a mutual friend's party months ago. Hey, Claire. I don't know if you remember me, but I heard you might be newly single. If you ever want to grab coffee or hang out, let me know. No ulterior motive, no drama, just kindness. My chest loosened for the first time in days. I typed, yeah, coffee sounds nice. That night, as I packed a few things for the move, my phone vibrated again, with a message from someone I truly didn't expect. Brooklyn. Hey, your post yesterday got me thinking. Liam lied about a lot more than you know. I didn't want to dump everything on you at once, but he's done this to at least 2 other girlfriends, same pattern, secret accounts, girls in DMs, telling people he's single. I sat on my bed, holding the phone in both hands. For a long time, I didn't move, didn't even breathe. Because in that moment, a realization settled over me like a heavy blanket. This was never about me. I hadn't failed. I wasn't lacking. I wasn't too much or not enough. He just was who he was. A man addicted to attention. A man who needed to feel desired by strangers. A man who created chaos because stability felt too ordinary. For the first time since this saga began, I felt a strange, powerful thing. Relief. Pure relief. Because I wasn't losing something real. I was escaping something rotten. I set the phone down, closed my eyes, and let a shaky exhale leave my body. Tomorrow, I'd start moving into my new apartment. Tomorrow, the next chapter would begin. And for the first time in a long time, I'd be walking into it alone, but free. Moving day arrived with a cold breeze, sunlit boxes stacked by my door, and a strange mix of closure and anticipation humming beneath my skin. My friends, my real friends, showed up on time with iced coffees, a borrowed dolly, and playlists labeled Fresh Start and Fuck That Guy. We laughed more than I expected. I didn't cry at all. Every box I loaded into the elevator felt like shedding a layer of something heavy and toxic, like grief with handles. Halfway through the move, my friend Sasha nudged me. "You realize," she said, "you're not running away from anything. You're running toward yourself." I smiled, soft, honest. "I know," I whispered. "I actually know." The new apartment smelled like new drywall and promise. Sunlight pooled across the hardwood floors like it had been waiting for me specifically. For the first time in days, I felt something bright. Hope. Not reckless, not romantic, just hopeful. That night, after the last box was pushed inside and my friends left with sweaty hugs and threats to take me out for celebratory margaritas, I showered, put on clean pajamas, and sat cross-legged on my new living room floor. My phone buzzed. A message from Elise, the woman who DM'd me earlier that week, the one I remembered from that party months ago. "Still up for coffee?" she wrote. "I'm around tomorrow if you want to decompress." I typed, "Tomorrow works, 11? Perfect." I didn't expect anything from it. No pressure, no subtext, just someone kind reaching out because she could. That alone felt new. The next day, coffee. Elise was exactly as I remembered. Warm, open, genuinely curious without being intrusive. She greeted me with a hug that didn't feel forced, and an almond croissant she insisted looked too pretty not to buy. We grabbed a table by the window. I told her the lighter version of the story, the highlights, the broad strokes. She didn't ask for the gory details. She didn't pry into the screenshots or the DMs or the 8 months of betrayal. Instead, she said something simple. "He didn't break you. He just revealed himself." Something loosened in my chest. She wasn't interested in gossip. She didn't want sides. She wanted to know how I was doing, not what Liam had done. Refreshing didn't even begin to describe it. By the time we parted ways, we'd made plans for a hiking trip next week. With a group, no romantic undertones, no weird pressure, just friendship. I didn't realize how much I needed that. Later that week, my first real date since the breakup, I wasn't looking for romance. Honestly, I wasn't looking for anything at all. But one of my friends had insisted I meet her coworker, Theo, a graphic designer who, she promised, was nice, not a liar, and not a secret influencer pretending to be single. So I said yes. Theo was tall, soft-spoken. With glasses, he kept pushing up his nose when he got nervous. He had an easy laugh and a way of listening that made you feel like he was taking in the meaning behind your words, not just waiting for his turn to talk. We grabbed dinner at a little Thai place. We talked about work, music, childhood stories, nothing heavy, nothing sharp. He didn't mention Liam once. I didn't mention the saga at all. For a night, I got to be just Claire, a woman eating pad thai and laughing at a bad joke about font choices. When he walked me to my car afterward, the streetlights made everything feel soft and slightly cinematic. "I had a really good time," he said. "Me too," I replied, surprised at how true it felt. He didn't lean in for a kiss, and I didn't expect him to. We hugged. Simple, warm, unhurried. It felt like coming up for air. When I got home, I checked my phone. Another DM from Brooklyn. "You were right to leave. He's already trying to spin a new story with some girl he met online. Just FYI, this isn't about you. He's always been like this." I sat on the edge of my bed, absorbing that. Not because it hurt, but because that message closed a door in my mind. Firmly. A reminder that none of this was my fault. A reminder I wouldn't have believed months ago. A reminder I needed now. Over the next few days, something strange happened. The silence from Liam's side got louder than the drama ever did. But the world around him wasn't silent. Screenshots circulated. Brooklyn's post got shared. His college friend unfollowed him. His best friend posted a vague story about fake loyalty. Mutuals unfollowed him quietly, one by one. And for once, I wasn't being dragged into it. The truth was speaking without me lifting a finger. I didn't need to defend myself. I didn't need to explain. I didn't need to fight. People who cared about honesty could see it. People who didn't weren't people I needed. 4 days later, it happened. The DM I didn't expect. From Theo. The date. "Hey, would you want to grab dinner again this weekend?" I stared at the message. Not out of fear, not out of hesitation, but because I hadn't expected to feel something warm in response. I typed, "I'd like that." 3 simple words. No overthinking, no guilt, just forward motion. That night, after I set my phone down, I sat on my couch and stared out the window of my new apartment. The courtyard lit by soft lamps, leaves rustling in the early evening breeze. For the first time in a long time, I felt like my life was something I could breathe in. Not perform, not survive, just live. I whispered into the quiet. "I'm okay." And I meant it. 2 weeks passed. 2 weeks of quiet mornings in my sunlit apartment. 2 weeks of real conversations with real friends. 2 weeks of slow, steady healing that didn't feel dramatic or cinematic, just human. And 2 weeks of silence from Liam. Or so I thought. Because silence from him didn't mean silence about him. Not in our overlapping orbit of acquaintances. Not in the digital breadcrumbs of mutuals who couldn't resist a good spectacle. Not in the crumbling loyalty of his own friend group, which, apparently, was falling apart like a poorly built Jenga tower. The implosion begins. It started when his so-called best friend, Maya, posted a story that said, "Wild how someone can lie to your face and then call you the traitor when the truth comes out." She didn't tag anyone. She didn't have to. Within minutes, someone screenshotted it and sent it to me with, "Pretty sure she's talking about Liam." Then Brooklyn, the roommate who had sent me the receipts weeks earlier, posted again on her feed. "Never feel bad for cutting someone off when they used you to hurt people they claim to love." The comments exploded. One mutual asked, "Is this about who I think it is?" Brooklyn replied, "If you have to ask, then yes." Liam commented, "Wow, really mature." She replied, "Better than lying for sport. I swear I didn't want to enjoy it, but I did. Not because he was hurting, but because, for the first time, it wasn't my job to expose him. The people who had enabled him were now calling him out themselves, and he couldn't stop it." The last confrontation. On moving day, the final haul of boxes down one hallway and up another, I thought I'd escaped the worst of it. But fate apparently wanted one final scene. Because as I was carrying a box labeled "Books Don't Drop," I saw a familiar car roll into the parking lot. His. I whispered, "You've got to be kidding," while my friend Sasha muttered, "Oh, hell no," beside me. Liam stepped out like he was arriving for a scheduled appointment. Sweater sleeves pushed up. Expression carefully arranged somewhere between heartbreak and determination. "Claire," he said, walking toward me, "we need to talk." I didn't set the box down. I didn't soften. "There's nothing to talk about." "Yes, there is." He stopped a few feet away, lowering his voice. "I deserve closure." I let out a short, breathless laugh. "You got closure when you spent 8 months pretending you were single." His jaw ticked. "This is between us," he insisted, glancing irritatedly at Sasha, who stared back like she could burn him alive with sheer contempt. "No," I said, "there is no us. You don't get to redefine this." He took a step closer. "You won't even try to work through this?" "Work through what?" I asked. "Your double life?" "It was one mistake." 8 months, I said. 8 months isn't a mistake. It's a habit. It's who you are." His voice cracked, either truly emotional or very skilled acting. "I can't believe how cold you're being." I shifted the box in my arms, meeting his eyes with a clarity I didn't know I was capable of. "I'm not cold," I said. "I'm done." He stared at me for a long moment, searching my face for anger, for guilt, for weakness. He found none. With a last frustrated noise, he shook his head and stalked back to his car. Sasha whispered, "That was hot," and I burst into the first real laugh I'd had all day. Healing in motion. The next week was calmer. Work, sleep, food that tasted like food again. Dinner with friends, a date with Theo that felt easy. We sat in a booth at a quiet restaurant, sharing dumplings and stories. Nothing heavy, nothing triggering, just 2 people learning each other's rhythms. At the end of the night, as we walked toward my car, he paused. "Can I ask you something?" he said. I nodded. "The Instagram account, your new one, are you planning to keep it?" I thought about it, about what it had meant, about why I created it, about who I was when I needed it. At the time, it felt like armor, a shield against humiliation, a truth-telling torch in the dark. But now I didn't want to live my life online, at least not as a response to betrayal. So I answered honestly, "Probably not much longer. It served its purpose." He nodded, smiling slightly. "Good. You deserve a life that isn't shaped by someone else's lies." "And you deserve dinner that isn't eaten in a dimly lit booth," I teased. He laughed. And God, his laugh was nothing like Liam's. Not performative, not calculated, just genuine. The decision. Back home, I sat on my bed, opened the newly single account, scrolled through the handful of posts. The laughter, the captions, the quiet reclamation of my own narrative. And I felt proud. Not because of the followers, not because of the attention, but because it reminded me that even in the worst moment of betrayal, I hadn't collapsed. I'd affirmed myself. I'd gripped truth with both hands. I'd said, no more lies, no more pretending, no more shrinking. Then slowly I tapped, settings, delete account, confirm. The screen went blank. A strange ache bloomed in my chest, and then eased, like setting down a heavy suitcase I'd carried far too long. Aftermath and final revelations. The next day, Brooklyn DM'd me again. "You'll love this," she wrote. Attached was a message from one of Liam's other ex-girlfriends, someone I'd never met, someone who'd found Brooklyn's post. Her message: same thing happened to me. Secret account, secret meetups, same excuses, same lies. You weren't the problem. He was. I sat very still, the words settling in me like warm, steadying weight. It wasn't me. It was never me. All the cracks in our relationship, every misgiving, every gut feeling I'd smothered, had been signaling the truth. I was trying to love a man who only loved the version of himself reflected back through strangers' eyes. And I finally let him go. For real. Closing the chapter. That evening, sitting on my couch with soft music playing, I whispered something into the silence. I forgive myself. I didn't forgive him. He hadn't earned that. But I forgave myself for staying too long, for believing too much, for giving trust to someone who treated it carelessly. I had a new home, new friends, new possibilities, new dates, gentle ones, slow ones, honest ones. And for the first time in almost a year, I felt like I was living in a story where I wasn't the background character, where I wasn't an accessory in someone else's performance, where I was the narrator, the protagonist, the one choosing the direction of my own life. No more secret accounts, no more lies, no more apologies for wanting honesty. Just me, clean, hopeful, and whole. A new beginning.